Are video games like World of Warcraft bad for you? Wow. Okay. Let's see.
You're deep into the material, so to speak.
Server shutdown is in 15 minutes.
Directly meaningful.
10 minutes.
So would this be a framework to explain why, say, novel music or stories or like an engrossing video game even would induce that kind of stress? It's like,
sure.
You know it's another world, so you're safe, but also it's like an unfolding experience.
It's both of those at the same time, because it's you don't want to play a video game where there are no rules.
Yeah.
And you don't want to play a video game where the rules transform so rapidly and erratically that there's no way you can model them.
Like BFA.
You want to play a video game where you can suspend disbelief. You know, there's some play with the axioms, so maybe there's some things about the model reality that aren't exactly like real reality. But once that framework is established, once the rule-governed framework is established, there's play inside of it, and that's very engrossing. And I think
see, that's what I was. This is exactly what I was fucking saying, dude. Like, even Jordan Peterson agrees with me. That's the best part about it, is figuring out ways that you can work within the rules and just fuck with people. That's the best part.
Part of the reason it's engrossing is, one, you actually learn things from playing games, because in some sense you're always playing a game, right? Because you're always inside a reality that's bounded by a certain set of assumptions, and it's not the total reality. It's like a game-like representation of the total reality, and you know, hopefully it's a good enough game-like representation. You know, one of the things I was thinking about in relationship to video games was, you know, I've read critiques of video games where people complain about young people generally being engaged in video games to the expense of having a real life. And then I was thinking, I don't know if you know about Edward, I think his name is Edward Castronova. Now, he's an economist who studied video games. And he did this quite a while ago. I think it's got to be more than 10 years ago now. But he made the claim at that point that one of the big, massive online player games, I think it was World of Warcraft, but that might be wrong.
Okay, like all right, here we go. Here we go.
Really, not in any fake way. Partly because you could sell artifacts that you were producing on eBay, for example, but also partly because people traded within it. And like, there was no reason to assume that the additional level of abstraction that that video game represented was necessarily any more abstract than what we were already doing in economies.
So that's exactly what he's saying. Like, he's saying the same fucking thing, dude. I learned more, as I said, I learned more from business and WoW than I did from business school. Like, I learned how to, how to get people to buy shit that they don't need. I got people, like, how to upsell people. Like, there is so much that I learned. See, whenever I'm saying this, right, everybody just thinks that I'm some kind of a fucking stupid jackass. But now Jordan Peterson's saying the same fucking thing because an economist said the same fucking thing, dude. Like, this is exactly how it works, man. Like, that's not how to scam people. I mean, like, it's part of it, right? I mean, there's always, well, I teach you how to scam. It does. It does.
So then you could ask yourself, for example, think about this. Is it more real to lead a band of adventurers through a complex mythological reality in an online game, or to work at McDonald's? Now you'd say, well, to work at McDonald's because that's real, but let's think about that for a minute. So exactly why is it real?
Okay.
I mean, first of all, McDonald's.
Okay, that's pretty true. I mean, I feel like you're probably going to learn a little bit more from WoW than McDonald's. I mean, I've never worked at McDonald's, but I pretty much assumed that.
McDonald's couldn't exist unless it was nested in a whole bunch of other things, right? So it has to be nested in a functional capitalist economy, and that has to be nested inside a functional political system, and then there's all sorts of other preconditions in terms of material supply and so forth that have to be in place before you're able to work there and receive tokens for your labor. Okay, so the same thing applies to the video game. And you might say, well, how do you determine which of those is real? And I would say, well, maybe one of the ways of determining whether a game is real is to what degree do you practice a wide range of the subsets of skills that would be transferable to other games while you're playing that game? And I think you can make a case that if
Let me tell you, as somebody who sucks at every fucking game that I play besides WoW, the only meta skills that you have are the meta skills you learn from WoW. Okay? Like, I suck at FPS games. I suck at every other type of game. But the one thing that I am kind of good at is, like, you know, figuring out, like, organizing shit in WoW. Like, that's basically it. Gaming philosophy, exactly.
That the activities that you're engaging in, which involve leadership and cooperation and communication and problem solving, are actually a more comprehensive subset of the skills that you would have to develop to work in the world as a complex place than what you would pick up at McDonald's. Now, you know, obviously you can argue about that, but it's not self-evident. Okay. So, and I think that's Horus, that noticing. That's the eye. It's not thinking, because it's not the framing process. It's something outside of that. It's something that's watching. And I think if you notice, you'll see, if you go through your week, you'll notice, because you have to sort of stand outside yourself and think, aha,
Horus, yeah, what is this Horus? What is Horus? Yeah, it's the Egyptian god, but what is he the god of?
Slamming pussy.
I was really into that. I was pulled right inside it, and then you see phenomena that occur along with that, which Csikszentmihalyi has detailed reasonably in his work on flow. You don't notice the passing of time. You're not self-conscious, and the activity is sustaining. You experience it as sustaining, even though it might be difficult. You know, so it's not a matter of just taking the easy way out and doing something fun. It's not that at all. It can be that. It's often you feel that way when you're doing something that's exceptionally challenging and difficult. And usually I think it's those things that are, they're real in relationship to your goal hierarchy. You know, so they're moving you forward in the way that you've determined that moving forward is appropriate, insofar as you've sorted that out. So, you know, A implies B, and B implies C, and C implies D, and so forth, and you've sorted that all out. You know, so maybe you're working on an essay in a class that you find meaningful because you want to derive something useful from your education so that you're a good citizen, so that you can live a proper life.
No, I just don't want to have my dad get mad because I failed another class. Like, let's settle down, Jordan. Nobody gives a shit about that, all right? I just don't want to get my dad get mad at me.
Meaning of all those things makes the local activity quite richly meaningful because it's properly contextualized. But then there's the other element, which is when you're pushing yourself beyond that, not only do you experience the meaning of what you're doing in relationship to your goal hierarchy, you also transcend the goal hierarchy at the same time, so that while you're working towards realizing it, you're also working towards transforming it and improving it, all at the same time. And I think that you're set up to experience that as the highest form of being. And then there's a corollary to that, which is, maybe if you spent the bulk of your time doing that, you know, so you got practiced at
playing video games all day.
Well, maybe I don't know, you can figure it out for yourself. But my suspicions are that for many of you, that's probably 5% of your weekly life. Maybe I'm wrong about that, because it's been a long time since I was your age. I can't remember what it was like, really.
It's like 35%
but I do know, you know,
playing
when
video
I survey
games.
Undergraduates and I ask them how much time they waste, you know, they're telling me, generally speaking, it's 4 to 6 hours a day. And I actually think it's probably more than that. And
yeah, 4 to 6 hours a day, because, like, I don't do anything. Like, I stream, and, like, what do I really do besides streaming? Like, I mean, like, usually, like, whenever I have other stuff going on, yeah, I'm kind of busy. But there are a lot of days where I stream for, like, 5 hours, and the other 12 hours or whatever that I'm awake, I don't even know what happens. Like, sometimes I'll just, like, be sitting here and it'll be midnight. I don't even know how that happens.
So that's time not spent in this particular state of mind, you know.
Okay.
And it's wasted time. Well, you even recognize it as wasted time because when someone asks you if it's wasted time, you say yes. And it's
that's about right.
Wasted. If it's wasted and you know it, you're obviously comparing that to some other sort of time that isn't wasted, right? That you regard as valuable and meaningful and
logically that is correct.
In, even though it might be difficult and require discipline and all those sorts of things. So you might ask yourself, if you have times during the week where you're engaged enough in what you're doing so that you find that intrinsically meaningful and it removes the burden of tragedy, and I don't mean because you're preoccupied, I mean because you're experiencing what you're doing as intrinsically worth the price.
That's exactly, that's the South Park episode. Do you want to go out there and get good grades and do all this other stupid stuff, or do you want to kill boars and do something that really matters? Like, this guy knows what it is. See, this is exactly what it is. This is the psychology of the games. It's the exact same fucking thing.
That's a different thing. You might think, okay, well, what if you were in that state of mind 80% of the time?
Yep.
Or 85% of the time, or 90% of the time. And that requires a tremendous amount of discipline and organization and clarity of purpose, and it also requires a tremendous amount of truth. Because the enemy of setting yourself up so that you can do that is untruth. Because what happens is, to the degree that you engage in untruth, you contaminate your frames fundamentally, and then you're in real trouble. Because
people that think video games are real life
properly if your frames are contaminated, and they're contaminated to the degree that you build them out of nonsense and delusion.
Yeah, that's basically like whenever people think that the video games are real. Lobster race confirmed. Yeah, there it is. They just assume my MMO. I mean, here's the thing, right? Is that, like, yeah, I would say it's also in room. I mean, who cares, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, we're just listening to what he says. It doesn't matter who's listening or how many people are there. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, here's the thing. I think what he's basically saying is that video games simulate real life in a way that makes certain skills transferable. I think that's absolutely true. I mean, there's plenty of things that people learn in video games that they're able to use and apply in real life. Like, an example of this is dealing with people that you don't like. So how many times have you ever been in a raiding guild and the raid leader or somebody else in the guild is somebody that you fucking hate? Like, you don't like them at all, and you're like, man, I just wish this person would die. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to think about them or anything. But you still log on, and you still deal with it, right? And there's nothing, it doesn't matter, like, what the problem is or anything like that. You still deal with it. And I think that's really what the difference is. And that's something that you can learn in WoW, and it's something that's going to be meaningful even after that. You know what I mean? What's it, past economics? Just because of the auction house and WoW. Yeah, I learned supply and demand for that. Absolutely, that's how it is. F1 News Sports? Yeah, I mean, let's say critical thinking skills, hand-eye coordination. Well, you don't really need hand-eye coordination in 99% of jobs. Real life, you just get punched in the face? Well, no, like, no, you don't get punched in the face at work. Like, I don't know. Like, if you have to deal with somebody that you don't like at work and you punch them in the face, you're going to go to jail. So, I mean, no, that's not how it works in the real world. You don't just punch people that make you mad. Like, in general, like, yeah, that's what, like, 12-year-old hard asses say. But no, you have to deal with people that you don't like, and that's too bad.